Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 213 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Thursday, September 21st, 2023. And it is going to be a gorgeous day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A, and thank you so much for your patience. I do not know what happened, but with my phone, the equivalent of butt dialing happened for my alarm. For some reason, it was set for every day of the week except Thursday this week. Don't know why. But rolled out of bed pretty much looking like this. So thank you for your patience. Yes, Kit Cassie. A little Mateo's greeting at the beginning warms the heart. It really does. It really
Indeed, it does.
He is our official bringer of joy. Ooh, you got some echoey.
No, that was intentional.
Oh, the voice of God.
That's I have some digital effects on here that I'm playing with.
And as you can hear,
How's that?
that's better. As you can hear, with me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Well, let's we have a Thursday morning nibble for you, so let's get into it and ask Mr. Grizzly how he's doing, how his mental health is today.
Well, good morning, sir. My mental health is pretty good.
Yay.
I've got a few things I got to take care of. I'm on remote today, so I'm going to be jumping in and out a lot today while I get my my coworkers set up and get them ready to go, doing this sort of thing for them. So, yeah, mental health wise, good. Just early start for me. I'm in the office at 7 a.m. this morning, which kind of throws my balance off a bit because it's not normal for me to be here this early. But that's okay. You know, priorities, responsibilities, going to get things done, going to get things taken care of. I'm going to make people happy. That's I'm in the business of making people happy.
Aww.
My business is your pleasure. That's something Dirk Diggler would say, I think. Eh? And if you're of a certain age, you'll know that you'll get that pop culture reference.
Yes. I am. Yes. Interesting way to start the show. Of course, our business is your pleasure, your listening pleasure, and maybe your viewing pleasure even. I mean, We do have the Speedo and tiny shorts shots, so, I mean, we're like an all-purpose show. Whatever you need, you get it.
2023 Speedo.
Woohoo! Uh, and of course,
2021 Speedo.
with the perfect accessory in the hand.
Of course. That's 2021.
Free beer today.
That's 2023.
As you can see, Kits, I've grown since yesterday, mainly because I'm sitting on a bunch of books and folded sheets and pillows.
Well, that's the way to do it.
So, yes, I got a butt boost. I'm actually sitting in my booster seat. I tell you, I'm preparing this job for Mateo.
Yes, you are. You are indeed, sir. You are indeed. I
All
got
right.
to jump away for a minute, so I
Yes.
apologize. I'm going to be in and out a lot today because a lot of responsibilities here. But if you bear with me, I'll come back in just a couple of minutes. And in the meantime, I need you to hold down the fort, or in this case, the lodge, good sir.
Absolutely. All right, you go make people happy. Okay, Kits, it's going to be a bit of a going here and there everywhere kind of episode today, given that Mr. Grizzly is in and out, because hopefully I'll be able to have some clips to show you for certain subjects when he is in. But since we're talking here to talk about the news, let's talk about the news. There's more fallout from what's been happening with India. It seems that India is really ratcheting things up on the diplomatic scale. Not only we, of course, expelled a diplomat, so of course they did the same. But then all of a sudden, it seems that the government of India is throwing the full weight of its state into some type of pressure campaign to, I guess, get us to apologize for having embarrassed Modi in some way by sharing some truth with him and then sharing that truth that we shared with him with the Canadian public. Because people from India who are looking, well, people from Canada who are looking to go to India suddenly cannot obtain visas. Apparently, visas for Canadians wanting to go to India have been suspended until further notice for, quote, operational reasons. So I'm guessing that there's an attempt here to make it much more difficult or impossible for Canadians to get into India, and therefore that would create some type of pressure from within Canada to get our government to basically apply India law in Canada. Shades of Meng Wanzhou. It seems like it's the exact same damn playbook. Except this time they are not taking Canadian citizens and holding them hostage. They're just stopping them from coming in. Okay. We'll see how that works. I'm not sure if that's going to make other nations happy, because other nations have started to come out. That's been one of the main criticisms, again, of the pro-conservative media and pundits. Yesterday, the whole story seemed to be, while one group of people were saying that Hardeep Singh Nijjar was not a Canadian citizen, and it turns out not only was he a Canadian citizen, but even Mark Miller realized that he had made a mistake on the date that he had became a citizen and printed or published through Twitter a correction. And the correction was that he's been a Canadian citizen even longer than anybody had thought. People thought, I believe, he had been a citizen since 2015 and really had been a citizen since 2007. So that was kind of happening. So that was one narrative trying to discredit him as not being really Canadian or a real Canadian or whatnot. So it wouldn't seem so bad, because apparently it seems that a foreign government allegedly having someone else killed on Canadian soil is not an affront to our sovereignty in any way if the person murdered happens to not be a Canadian citizen. I mean, they still breached our borders. Well, breached borders. They still crossed our borders to come onto our territory to do a state extrajudicial killing, allegedly on our territory. But none of that would matter, according to this segment of the media, if he's not Canadian. No, we would still have an international diplomatic issue. Like that point is pretty much even freaking irrelevant. It just makes it more of a thing for the Canadian government, specifically if the person murdered happened to be a citizen, because for some reason we make some difference that it's way worse. But it's not really. It's a human being was murdered extrajudicially on another nation's territory. Whether the person murdered was a citizen of that nation or not is probably the most irrelevant factor in this whole equation. So that was one thing. And then the second thing that was going on was, oh, well, look at this Justin Trudeau. He's a chief standing alone because we're all our friends. And kids, again, what was the lesson of yesterday's show and of the past weekend? I believe that it was, I think that when something big like this happens, being the first to rush out, chin up, ass out, with your hot take about why this thing is yet more proof that the prime minister is a failure and a national or international embarrassment and all these types of things. And then, whoops, a couple days later, some news comes out and, oh my. Seems that there was a reason for all of that. Maybe should have kept your powder dry for a few days to see how this works out. Well, it seems they did not learn that lesson. Because they were all out there saying, "Oh, because if this was really something, then yeah, the prime minister would have all his allies standing shoulder to shoulder, and they all be out." And it's like, yeah, maybe before getting into an international dispute with a nation that is the most populous nation in the world, which is the largest democracy in the world, which is being viewed at by many on the West, on the progressive side, as maybe being a counterpole to China, given its aggressive and more expansionist nature. And this kind of thing happens that makes us reconsider or think for a little bit. Maybe this is not our path forward with our Indo-Pacific strategy. And if this is yet another situation of a big, powerful nation or emerging powerful nation, that is going to be one of these poles in a multipolar world if we end up going that way, deciding to throw the full weight of its state to intimidate us or to get us to do things their way, that would change some long-term, like very long-term, 20, 30, 40 years playing the game out, foreign policy decisions by many nations. They might want a day or two or three or a week to look over the intelligence that we have, because we're probably very much sharing it with our Five Eyes partners. Then maybe come to their own conclusions, maybe have their own intelligence services do a little research of their own. Maybe look at incidents that happen in their territory and see if there's a connection in terms of patterns. Right? Everybody expects in this world that everything's going to be instant. As soon as something happens, you're going to have a take or an opinion, a fully formed opinion or a fully formed plan that you've discussed with. Things take time. As soon as a program's announced, it should be in effect. No, it takes time to set up a bureaucracy, right? The whole thing with the 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 money for housing when they announced the accelerator fund. Well, they're all complaining, "Oh, well, that money was announced in 2015. It's like, how come it didn't get out now?" Well, they opted to do something else with the money first, and when they re-announced that they were going to fund, it's like between the time that you announce there's going to be a fund and you set up a fund and you set up the procedures and the rules and the regulations for them that money to be distributed, there's a little bit of time that takes place. So they sit there and they go, "Oh, well, it hasn't done, or it took a year to get the money out, a year and a half, so this program's clearly a failure." It's like, people are a little too eager to want to
Silly.
declare certain things dead
Yeah.
these days. So, um, other nations took a little bit of time, but yesterday, Australia came out, one of our Five Eyes partners, and said that they had some concerns about that news. And then yesterday as well, um, the United States came out and made a couple of comments about that. Um, again, expressing their concern. And, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know what it is because they want to get rid of this government, but I'm not sure what it is with our Canadian media. It just it just seems that it cannot wait to take a breath, just to take a breath
Hmm.
before making a comment. We we all know as rational human beings that it is statistically impossible for all the problems in the world to have been caused by just one man and to have all have happened in 8 years. And all of us that were alive 8 years ago and conscious remember that we had housing issues 8 years ago, and that people had some personal debt issues 8 years ago, and certain businesses were probably filing for bankruptcy protection 8 years ago. And these are all constants. It just depends to what degree things are happening. But to sit there and claim that everything was wonderful when Stephen Harper left and things started going to pot, everything that's going on in the world started going to pot as soon as Trudeau got there, and it's all because of him. Come on. Come on. Come on. I mean, it's such an insult to your basic intelligence to start with that you have to suspend so much disbelief to actually enter the door. So there are people that are in that line who believe this stuff, who are people, it's almost like X-Files. I want to believe that the prime minister is corrupt. I want to believe that he's a traitor. Therefore, he is. It's not good. It's not a good dynamic. It's not a good road. And it's not sustainable over the long run. Um, so back to the United States. The White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says that at this stage, it's important to get the facts. And he says, quote, "Certainly, the president is mindful of these serious allegations, and they are very serious, and we support Canada's efforts to investigate this. We believe a fully transparent, comprehensive investigation is the right approach so that we can all know exactly what happened, and of course, we encourage India to cooperate with that." Now, this is particularly meaningful because one of the side conversations at the G20 meeting, which happened in New Delhi, was the President of the United States outright saying that he would support India's bid to join the Security Council of the United Nations as a permanent member. These types of incidents may want to make the United States reconsider that position. I'm not sure that the government of India might be thinking this one all the way through at this moment. Um, the government of India also did another thing between suspending visas and expelling a diplomat, which was issuing a travel advisory for its citizens, calling Canada an unsafe place. Okay, India, if that's how you want to play it. But says a lot about you. One of the things that Canada has going for it, we don't have a lot of might. We don't. Right? The real politic of the situation is that Canada pretty much can't make any other nation do anything. We're too small and we're not powerful enough. But we got good friends who are strong and powerful. And we also have a bit of a reputation as the world's Boy Scout. People tend to like us. So, if you're going to take a swing at Canada in the public sphere in this way, trying to paint us as a country that's unsafe, uh, there's going to be a huge credibility gap for you on the international scene with that one. Going to be a rather massive credibility gap. It's not going to be a good look. I mean, you'll win the power battle one-on-one, but it's not going to be a good look. Fortunately, we are not alone. We do have friends. So, stay tuned. Let's see how this plays out. But the government of India had a choice to let this one go or make a big deal of it, and I guess it looks like they've decided to make a big deal of it. Now, yesterday, there was an interesting incident on the Canadian side where the Minister of Defense, Bill Blair, made some comments when asked that suggested that he could not completely rule out that there was a concern about sabotage. Now, about a hour or something later, there was an official word from the official level saying that there is no reason to suspect that there was sabotage. Now, of course, given the power dynamics at play, that definitely has to be our official public position. But is there no reason for there to be no reason to suspect that there is sabotage? It seems that was at least considered. And there's some people that are going, wow, who knew? Who would have thought? Well, we suggested it yesterday during the show. We wondered, given the tensions, whether or not there was more than one reason that that technician had to fly over to fix that plane. Because they were doing two things, right? They were sending over a plane and they were sending a technician with the part to fix that plane. So no matter what was going on, he was not getting on that plane or any plane that the government of India would have supplied. That decision had already been made. He was either taking a whole other plane or having somebody come over to fix that plane. And I don't think it's a stretch to suspect that that technician, when he came to fix that part, assuming there was even a part to fix, let's just say, because it is very possible. I mean, if you are a good strategic planner and you're planning this stuff out, when you make the decision, you know what, this time I'm going to India and I'm going to have a side by side with Modi and I'm going to let him know that there's a chance that there might be a response to that. So you've pre-planned that. That is a strategy. So I don't know enough to know what's going on, and probably we never will. That's probably information that would stay secret for a long time. But was there even a need for that technician? It's a salient question. But we will never know. We will never know. But it was mused about out loud for about an hour. And diplomacy, as we often say, we quote Bo of the Fifth Column saying it's the international poker table where everyone's cheating. Yeah, I would say that there's some cards being passed. There might be some cards being passed under the table at this moment. All right. So we'll see what keeps going with that. We'll see as well today how the Conservatives decide to take these decisions from India to issue a travel warning and to temporarily suspend visas for, quote, operational reasons. and use that to tell us all how Prime Minister Trudeau is such an awful human being, terrible leader, and selling the country down the river, or sending us all to hell in a handbasket in a rapid minute. But we'll see how they will use their creativity today to reach their typical goals. Oh man, I tell you. Uh, who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought, seriously, that within the space of 8 years as a nation, Canada, little, kind, happy-go-lucky, almost always willing to help Canada, would have had problems with China engaging in hostage diplomacy, then have a president of the United States who repeatedly tried to kneecap our economy, and then would have to deal with a fellow Commonwealth nation deciding that it wants to be more like China than it would like to be like Canada. And isn't it also very strange that at the moment we are the nation with the largest diaspora of Ukrainians outside of Ukraine, and the nation with the largest diaspora of Sikhs outside of India, and that we are involved in diplomatic rows with all of these nations, or have been, or still are, because things haven't smoothed over really with China. I just, man, that's a lot for us to handle.
What did I miss?
Just saying, could you believe that in the space of 8 years that we would have a diplomatic issue with China, major global power? We would have the president of the United States, our greatest ally, trying to kneecap us for 4 straight years.
Mm.
And now India, which was sort of the basket in which all the world is trying to put its eggs, now we're having a diplomatic row with them too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have predicted
Russia,
any
China,
of that.
India. 3 huge poles, all of them having issues. It's like, what? And we're sitting there going like, what the hell did we do, man?
I'll take things I didn't see coming for 400, Alex.
All we did was respect an extradition agreement with our most trusted and valuable trading nation and geopolitical partner, which is something that any nation would expect us to do. Then fight for respect of territorial sovereignty of a democratic nation, which is something that we would reasonably be expected to do. And then inform the leader of another nation that we had credible intelligence that something, not necessarily that his government, but something the state was involved in, whether with or without the approval of the leaders, happened on our territory. As any normal nation would probably expect us to do if that happened in any normal nation. So it's like, we're just like going around the world being a country, doing country things that every other country would normally expect a country to do when they're countrying.
I didn't know that was a word, countrying. We're countrying. Okay.
If adulting and architecting is one, countrying one is one now too.
I guess. Sure.
Just like, come on, man. It's like, you can't even be a country anymore. What the?
I guess not.
Just all right. That's externally. Internally, the news of the day is hold on. What's that sound? Is that the sound of the air leaving a balloon?
Yep.
Because
that's what it was.
there was a million van march. No, not million vans. A million man. I
No.
think March, or not a million. Anyway, there's a million something March.
There
I
wasn't even
think
close to a
which
million.
coast to coast to coast to coast, if it reached 10,000
That might have been a stretch.
in the
And
64 or 74 different locations, there was
there were
apparently
more
going on.
counter protesters than protesters, especially here in Ottawa, where they cordoned them, they kettled them into corralled them onto the hill and wouldn't let them leave, and they were panicking for their dear lives.
Well,
They're like, the police said they were going to move them over there, and I'm like, people have a right to protest, and they seem to only like it when they protest, but when somebody else protests what they're protesting, they don't take to that too kindly, do they?
Well, that was the whole thing. I was sitting there yesterday, and it's like I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, like, come on, people, like, do we have any memory? It's one of those things again, right? Where those how would I say? Um, it's like only once it happens to you,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
right? So there was this guy um, who, well, he was caught, and Luc Lebrun of Press Progress, who I really like, posted some video of him. So, Mr. Grizzly, uh, if you would, if we can share some, I would
Yeah,
really like
you
to do
share it,
that.
I'll play it. Yeah.
Okay. Right now, because I only have one screen, this is a little trickier.
And I'm on a laptop this morning, so I have some limitations with what I can do here. The fact that
All
I'm
right.
able to pull this off at all is pretty impressive, technically speaking. I don't have as much gear here as I do for the podcast. The podcast, I bring a whole mobile studio. Here, I'm just winging it, kind of.
All right. So, okay, there's the thing to share screen, and now I need to find the window. This is a little more complicated when you just have one, I have to say, because I just can't go to.
Well, you got to shrink windows down and
Yes.
split screens. That's what you got to do. Find it,
Yes.
and then you can go full screen and play it. That's,
There we go. Okay. This is the one I share. Sorry, kids. Is
Okay.
it showing? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, let's take it. Are we ready to go, Mr. Grizzly? Because I can't see you.
Yeah, we're good. Go ahead. I don't hear any sound from it, but go ahead.
No, don't worry. I haven't started playing it yet. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Yeah, still no sound. There's no sound. No sound at all.
Pardon?
There's no sound.
Oh. Okay. There should be.
No, there wasn't. I couldn't hear a thing.
Okay. Hold on. I'll
when
send you the link.
I'm not going to be able to do that here.
Okay.
When you share the screen, make sure that you've enabled the audio. So there should be a little click somewhere that says enable audio. It'll be somewhere on the share screen window.
Okay. Let's look again. Nope. It just shared. There's no enable audio button.
Okay.
All right. Let's try it again. Okay.
Just blow it up. And can you hear it on your end?
Okay, Kits, do you hear any audio from the
No,
video?
There's no audio.
There's no audio. Okay. Well, then I don't know.
Send me the link in the private chat, and I'll see if I can run it from here.
Okay.
Give it a go. I'll see if I can do it. Maybe I can. Maybe I can't. I don't know. We'll try it.
All right. There we go. Send it to you. So anyway, thank you, Kits, for letting us know. We appreciate it that you couldn't hear the audio. So yes, basically what had happened is that because the protesters were outnumbered, and pretty much everywhere they were, people were sending shots from all over, saying that the ratio is 5-1, 3-1, 2-1. In certain places, in all fairness, where the ratio was low at the beginning, certain things started to even out over the course of the day in certain places. So I don't want to give the impression that nobody came out for the other side. But as the day went on, there we go. Let's try that.
All right, so we were told by police that they would try to keep the counter-protesters west of Parliament. And they would keep the street clean. Instead, they've let the protesters come and lure us into the hill. So I don't know how they're going to manage that when we come. Police were well aware of our route. They've let these counter protesters fill the street illegally, by the way.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching
hilarious.
this. I'm watching this. I'm like, you mean like all y'all cornered about 100,000 citizens of Ottawa for
Yeah.
about 4 weeks not too long ago, making it
exactly.
so when you were in that street, even though the police promised the citizens of Ottawa that you wouldn't be
See,
there, even though you were there illegally.
it's illegal when we do it, but when they do it, it's not illegal. And I say we as in we're the counter
Yes.
protesters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to seen that guy that was on the Public Order Emergency Commission stand claiming that if that protest was in his neighborhood, he would have come out and joined them. Would have loved to see him at that one on the hill and circled and then wondering, sir, do you still feel the same way now?
Mhm.
Do you? Do you? Do you really?
No,
Yeah.
no.
As we keep on saying, there are way more of us than there are of them.
And they're
And
not that
yesterday they
smart
felt it for a couple of seconds.
and panicked.
And
I laughed at when I saw that video. I laughed. I'm like, look at this. They're pissing their pants because they are learning that they are not right, and people are telling them they are not right.
And people are willing to come out.
Yes.
As I keep on saying,
I had a few people ask me why I didn't participate. I'm like, I have a job. I have responsibilities, like most people in this country. I go to work every day.
make bigots unwelcome again.
Yes. Yeah.
Make
Exactly.
them super uncomfortable. Because there is nobody that hates more being labeled a racist or a bigot or whatever than an actual racist or bigot. Oh my, how they react.
Yeah.
Oh, with such disbelief that anyone could ever consider that they who have a black friend are racist.
Yeah, that one. I'm not racist. I have a black friend.
Come on. Now, Karima, who was there,
Mhm.
made a comment yesterday that I hadn't thought of it in this context. And she said, it's an oversimplification to reduce these protests to being solely motivated by bigotry or hate. Genuinely held protected beliefs also play a role. Fundamentally, this is about tension between parents and the state. True. And because I am a person with a vested interest, given that I am rainbow,
Mhm.
and that given that even back in the day, I was really upset that we left our trans brothers and sisters behind. So I still am. That hasn't changed. And I don't get any less upset when we have a bunch of ladder pullers, particularly from within our community,
Mhm.
say, we got ours, let's pull the ladder up and let's make sure that trans people don't get it because people don't get trans people. And, well, if we push for that, then we might get some backsplash or backlash. And, well, we just got ours, so we don't want to lose ours, so let's not do that. No. That's not how you don't lose rights. You don't lose rights by pulling up the ladder once you got yours and not fighting for everyone else's.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know if you saw some of the video from Calgary where they had children on stage. I'm not playing any of it. I refuse
Not playing any of it. No,
I refuse to. But they had children on stage saying the most ridiculous things. I'm like, you're 4 and 5 years old.
No children comes up with that. Just like no child anywhere in the world would draw up a defund the CBC sign all on their own to show up at a PR rally with it.
That, my friends, is what we call grooming. That, my friends, is grooming.
No kid comes up with those statements on their own and thinks of like stomping on a pride flag on their own. You have to be taught to do that. So while I haven't thought of it in the context that, yes, there are some people that have some genuinely held protected beliefs and they also play a role and, they're being exploited.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I have to make a conscious effort to temper my anger, knowing that some people in that movement are also being exploited. In this dynamic, however, the state, because she says fundamentally this is about tension between parents and the state. Fundamentally, the state, however, has enough experience and has been around long enough and has enough people and has that mechanism, because everything takes time. So to do something in a bureaucracy, so you have time to think about the stages.
Mhm.
Time. The state, however, should have known better than to insert itself in a place it does not belong, to claim not only a right but a duty to steal. And this is what it is. It's stealing. It's theft.
Mhm. Oh, yes.
Deeply personal information from, of all people in the nation,
Children.
not rich white men who make over $1 million a year,
Mhm.
who lead organizations and have the power. No, children. And of all the children,
The most marginalized. Yeah.
such a tiny, tiny, tiny minority. People that they were sure, guaranteed, positive that nobody would stand up for. And they decided that their path to power went through destroying and obliterating their children, these children, by dehumanizing them. Saying, you have no right to privacy whatsoever. And if you happen to be one of these kids who is living in fear, and you come to us and you tell us that you're living in fear, our solution is to invite more grown-ups into the room, to pressure you or to find a strategy for you to do something you have already said you do not want to do, or that you fear doing. They're going to apply more pressure on you, rather than having people look into the reason for which you might not be willing to say that. And even if the home was dangerous, and I'm speaking from experience here, not having come from a dangerous home, but coming from a home, the last foster home I was in, for the last 7 years I was there, was extremely psychologically abusive. Extremely. Yeah, your mute is on, Mr. Grizzly. No, can't hear you. No, can't hear you. Well, you might just have to hop out and pop back in, maybe. The home I was in was extremely psychologically abusive. If somebody would have taken me out of that home, I would have fought against it, because as psychologically abusive as it was stable. I knew what the rules were. I knew what the environment was. I knew how to get by in my world. It was not a perfect world. It was a world I did not like, but it was better than a lot of worlds I had been in before. And at that age, all I wanted was stability. I would have endured anything. And this was just a foster home that I was just in for 10 years. I still can't hear you, Mr. Grizzly. Sorry. Yeah. Now imagine this being your own home, your own family. And even though you are in an abusive situation, that family is all you know, and you still love your parents. So let's game this situation outright. You bring a kid into a class because they're asking to use different pronouns, and now it's your duty as the state to take that information and share it with their parents. Because at this point, you don't even know if their parents know or not. And how do you know? And given that there is a rule like this and the kids are clever, what kid is going to now tell their teacher that no, they haven't told their parents? Kids can lie
They do sometimes.
for their own protection. Oh, it went on and then it left. Darn.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh no, it's working. It's working.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. You create a situation where, one, you're pressuring that kid to do something they don't want to do, something that they know or fear will bring them damage. Then let's say, well, how do you check to see before telling the parents that this is a home where it's okay to tell the parents where the kid will be safe? What type of assessment do you do before you go? Or do you just pick up the phone and say, hey, your kid just did that without any concern? So how do you verify? If the child tells you, yes, my parents know, well, of course, they're going to give them a form now to sign if you're under the age of 16, if you want to use different pronouns or different names. So, again, how many kids have had permission slips signed by friends or attempted to how is the state going to know? Is the state going to put all these resources into finding out before they even tell the parents if the kid told the truth that their parents know, that the kid will be safe if they tell the parents?
Yeah,
And what happens when they tell parents? And that kid, even though that kid knows that there is going to be abuse at the home, still love their mom, love their dad. And the last thing they want is for social services to come in and pull them out of the only world they've known, no matter how unhealthy it would be, and insert it into another one where they know nobody. That right there is an extremely traumatic experience. Extremely traumatic. When you game this out, like, it all sounds good, right? Oh, yeah. Parents deserve to know what's going on in their children's life, and we have to tell. Yeah, but apply that now. Apply that. Real life situation. You have a 13-year-old kid who's in the principal's office, and they're going to be sent to social workers and psychologists. And like this, why don't you know? Well, shouldn't you tell your parents? Wouldn't your parents be knowing? The inherent bias in that whole conversation is going to be, you should be telling your parents. You're going to be in a room with 3 or 4 grown-ups now?
No.
So there are so many situations along the way when you play this out. When you sit down, you tabletop this.
Yeah.
What can happen to a kid? Emotionally, psychologically. It's like, there's no way that this can work. There's no way that this can work. In the United States, there was recently a decision that was made by a court that did create that precedent, saying that in the United States, there is no parental right of the type that people are looking for here, to force their children to live according to their values, that the state must provide some type of apparatus to force.
I just sent you a link in Twitter because this laptop's not signed into my Twitter account and it's not accepting my password. So I just sent you a link in the Twitter. If you can pull that up and send it to me in the private chat, I can show everybody a video of, well, how truthful they were about that. This is for children.
Well, that's the other thing. Yes. So, yeah, you're getting there a little bit before me. But, yeah, let's go down that route, because all of this, of course, was for the kids, right?
All of it.
You have to remember also that this is also a deep tradition, right? Doing things for the kids. You remember when we were opposing same-sex marriage, it was because a child should be raised. The best situation for a child is a nuclear family with a mother and a father, opposite sex parents. That's what, well, we don't live in that world.
No,
or that's the only option on offer.
So let me show you this video quickly. It sums up how much bullshit there is. They use the children as a shield, if you will, for the real message, which we'll see here in just a couple of seconds. Watch this.
The speeches started on Parliament Hill, and remember, boys and girls, this was supposed to be about children and what they're being taught in schools, allegedly. Let's see what they had to say.
Fascists here, they're in the Trudeau government.
I didn't know Trudeau is in charge of provincially controlled education systems.
It's one of the hallmarks of authoritarianism, to take away the rights of parents.
Parents don't have rights. Children do.
And so children can tell on their parents and have them jailed.
And yes, if a child's rights are being stomped on, they should tell on their parents. That's called protecting children.
That is a hallmark of fascism, as is freedom, a lack of freedom of assembly. And we saw what happened to the Freedom Convoy last 2 years ago.
And look, it took less than a minute to make this about the Freedom Convoy.
Another hallmark of authoritarianism is censorship and a loss of your freedom of speech. And we see what Trudeau is doing to internet censorship right now. And he's...
Oh, now we're just on all these federal bills that have nothing to do with kids. So what is this really about, and why are you there? The speeches started on Parliament Hill and...
Yep. It's not about the kids. Oh, there went your sound again, Mr. Grizzly. Yep. It's not about the kids. It is not about the kids. And that's why I say, when that guy was stuck on the hill and saying, oh my God, we're surrounded, we're cornered. That's why I say, just like y'all did, because it is y'all. You just proved it with those speeches. I still don't hear you, Mr. Grizzly, sorry. It's still y'all. Convoy, C-18, climate change. Oh, now we hear you.
Yes, I switched mics.
Perceived authoritarianism, blah, 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 blah.
You
Yawn.
should be able to hear me now.
Yep.
Okay.
We hear you. Just, I tell you, it's exhausting.
Well, they love to wax
exhausting
poetically and philosophically about the charter this, the charter that, the charter this. They've clearly never read the damn thing.
No. Because
we do not have freedom of speech in Canada. We never have. We have freedom of expression, and there are rules upon that. There are rules and limitations upon freedom of expression deemed by society. You cannot preach hatred towards another group. Isn't that what they're doing?
Yep.
Holy Hannah, I think we have a charter issue here. They don't even realize, because they're not intelligent enough. They lack critical thinking skills, and they don't understand even the most basic of civics. It's just also ridiculous. I got to jump out. I'll be back in a few minutes. I got to go take care of something. Okay?
Oh, okay. Yep, sure. Absolutely. All right. We will not be going to the clips or the images. It's been nice to see certain mayors come out and make statements. We had the mayor of Ottawa saying, as the mayor of Ottawa, I condemn any form of discrimination or hatred. Members of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community have the right to live free from harassment and bigotry. I respect the right to protest. However, the specific targeting of 2S LGBTQIA plus children for being who they are has no place in our city. The protests taking place today will only cause harm to youth who are looking for our support and acceptance. I stand with Ottawa's 2S LGBTQIA community. Please know that you are valued and are always welcome here. And then there was the mayor of Burlington, Marianne Mead Ward. The mayor of Ottawa is Mark Sutcliffe, by the way. I didn't mention his name. The city of Burlington is a welcoming and inclusive community that embraces and celebrates diversity among all our residents. As we celebrate Burlington, Ontario's 150th anniversary this year, we're reminded of the words on our city's crest, stand by. It means we as a community stand by each other, stand by to support one another, and stand by for action to help each other in times of need. Today, I shared with our local 2S LGBTQIA plus community. Know your mayor and council stand with you in support. To all our residents, take some time to visit one of our many rainbow crosswalks and benches across our city. Snap a photo of yourself and share it online as a way to show support of your 2S LGBTQIA plus neighbors, friends, and loved ones. Thank you, mayors. Thank you. We really, really, really appreciate this. It's important. I keep on saying when it comes to movements like this, the last thing this movement needs is yet another gay or rainbow person marching in the streets. fighting for our own rights, but we need the rights of people who are not like us, people who are not rainbow, our friends and our allies and whatnot, with us saying the same thing. That's when real change starts to happen. When people who personally don't have a dog in the fight stand up and say, well, not on my watch. Yes, Kit Lindam, glad to see school boards coming out and reinforcing their policies of tolerance and inclusivity as well. Yes. Yes. I saw those statements. And I'm glad they were out there. I'm glad they were out there. Yes, someone said it great yesterday. I was thinking of that. I saw that quote too. You think teachers are indoctrinating your kids? We can't even get them to wear deodorant. Like, and once again, thank you, Madame Madeleine Leclerc, for teaching me about the wonders and the benefits of deodorant. You changed my life. How to go from no friends to plenty of friends in about 2 weeks. And as Kita Sedeka says here, I keep asking these angry folks whose kids they're protecting, because if their kids are fine and it's about parental rights, then whose kids are you trying to control? Yes. And the other side of that is no kids, precisely 0 kids, have asked you to take up this cause on their behalf. The kids did not ask you to speak or protest for them. People. And that's obvious by the speeches, because your concern for the kids was the fig leaf that brought you all there. And when y'all started opening up and running your mouths, we found out what you were really there for. And it had nothing to do with the kids. Had nothing to do with the kids. You just don't like the color of the team jersey that the guy in charge is wearing at the moment. That's it. That's your whole deal. And again, I know I just reduced it. I know that there are some people for whom it's legitimate and you are being exploited. And I am really, 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 really sorry for you. And I'm sorry that this is being done for you and done to you. And I know that some of you might be too close to the trees to see the forest and are not realizing that this is happening to you, but you are being exploited. Just, yeah, Kit Mohan's got it right. The kids can and do protest by themselves. Kids are a lot smarter and way more organized than a lot of people give them credit. Not kids in Montana just took a court case to court to fight for their environmental rights to a clean environment, and won. Kids screwed up a Trump rally in the last election. You've got Greta that organized days of action for the climate, and that got picked up by kids all around the world, and it's a global movement. You got the Parkland kids that got the first change to gun control laws in Florida in about 20 years. Kids can get shit done. Right? You have all these reality shows that we all watch with these kids that are like 7 or 8 years old and that are baking and making gourmet meals. We've all heard stories of the 7-year-old prodigy concert pianist. Kids can do stuff. And if they are organized, they can be effective. So let's not underestimate kids here.
Indeed.
Right? But I have not seen one article in the last 3 years of kids running to these people, begging them to flood the streets and go where their schools are and create all this drama and intimidation for their benefit. Not a single one. I don't know whose kids you're speaking for, and I don't know who, because the kids want you to shut up. You're being weird. They are looking at you like, can you just stop that? Why are you doing that? Like, just none of the things you say are happening are actually happening. Why are you being weird? Like, why are you coming to school to talk about my genitals? That's fucking creepy. Go away. Ew.
Very creepy.
Ew. That's what you look like to these kids.
Yeah.
If you happen to be hate watching. They think you're gross and creepy. You're not making friends.
Nope.
Especially with the younger generation. Yeesh. Yeah, you're right, Mohan. I think they're scared of this generation up and coming. That's why you got people like Vivek Ramaswamy, even though he's the youngest candidate in the GOP race, campaigning to raise the voting age.
Yeah.
Let's pull up that ladder. Kids are a little too organized, a little too effective. They've discovered their power. They're going to use it. Let's fix that.
Well, and there's a whole bunch of kids that are about to turn 18 in 2024.
Yeah.
Not to mention in 2025 in Canada, there's a whole bunch of kids that are turning 18. So, cons, you're not going to win. Gen Z is pissed.
And
they're not putting up with it.
And the cons seem to be completely happy to let this generation go. As we mentioned on the show, the Prime Minister goes on Drag Race. They lambaste him. They go to Pride. They lambaste him. They support the convoy. They support these yahoos that are protesting. Just every single time they killed the WE program that was going to give them funding during COVID so that they could maintain their students, their studies.
The recent forensic accounting file was released on that. No malfeasance, no improprieties, nothing was done wrong. I'm like, so they tanked a global charitable foundation because it was too woke for them?
Because they could.
Know. It's because they could. Again, as I've said time and time again, and I'll continue to say this until my face is the color of my shirt, they don't give a shit about any single one of us. They only want power. They do not want to govern, and you don't matter to them. You don't. They don't care about you.
Nope.
They just want power to control you. That's it. Oh, and they do want Gilead. Yep. Because it's the Reform Party, not the Conservative Party.
Nope.
Conservative in name only. They are not conservatives. And there's a new party, I guess it launched yesterday.
Yeah, Center Ice rebranded.
Yes, and they're trying to attract liberals and progressives. They're going after both. And you know what? I welcome it. I do. Because this Reform Party cannot stand. Because they want to rob people of their rights. Look at Pierre Poilievre's voting record. We should actually do a little digging to get up his voting record and all of the things that matter to the vast majority of Canadians, and look at what he's voted against, because he's voted against every single decent program that we have in this country that governments prior to this one, and including this one, he wants to cancel. He wants to kill it all because he doesn't give a shit. He just wants money.
Mm-hmm. Now, it says a lot that center-ice Canadians dropped conservative completely from the name.
They want nothing to do with they don't want to be associated with this current brand of reformers that call themselves conservatives. Social conservatives, I think they call themselves. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Now, this party, unfortunately, from what I can tell, even though it doesn't want to consider itself or use the conservative branding, if Tasha Sheridan is part of it, and it seems that she is, given the turn that she has taken on Twitter, it seems that they have no problem using the same tactics, however, which is outright lying, because remember, Tasha Sheridan published that piece, claiming that the Prime Minister had politicized to the Supreme Court American style by having named someone from Newfoundland. And because he put an Indigenous woman on it. And he put the first Canadian of Muslim heritage on it. And one of them supports reproductive rights, I believe. That was the whole packing the court.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Apparently. And two of them were young. relatively speaking, because so and she has a couple of other things also. So on the whole, she really disappointed me.
Mhm.
Really, really, really disappointed me. On the whole um, trance thing. She had a tweet. Oh God, I hope I can find it. Where it was the framing of
Mhm.
it, because we talk often about preemptive framing on this show, and it was the frame that she put on it that was completely um, it boggled my mind. Hold on, I'm just trying to find it here. Unfortunately, it gets
It's okay. While you're doing that, I have to show you something that a friend
okay.
of mine, as part of my Scotch and Cigar Club on Wednesday nights, he lives out in the country, and he got this thing in the mail yesterday, and he says, "Oh, I'm bringing that to give to Paul." He says, "So he can put it on the show." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to put this on the show." So this is something that showed up in the mail. I'll put it on the screen so you can sort of see it because it's a mailer. On December 1st, 2021, Pierre Poilievre and the entire Conservative caucus approved Bill C-4. This law criminalized parents as trying to protect their children from the radical trans ideology pushed in schools today. Pierre Poilievre against parents. And then there's a whole thing on the back that I'll read to you in a sec here. And on the back it says, "Dear Mr. Poilievre, as your constituent, I am expressing my intense dissatisfaction with your silent agreement to Bill C-4 on December 1st, 2021 by helping to shuttle this bill into law. You harmed parental rights in our riding and all of Canada. Parental rights is not a thing. This law, which was framed by Justin Trudeau as banning conversion therapy, which it is, in fact, makes it illegal for parents, religious leaders, therapists, and mentors to counsel minors and protect them from the trans agenda pushed by radical teachers' unions and mainstream media. Today, due to your lack of dissent in the House of Commons, a parent may be imprisoned for up to 5 years for the crime of referring to their child by their biological pronouns. You claim to be a conservative, but you contradict conservative principles. I won't consider supporting you in the next election unless you explain your support for this bill and apologize for the harm it is causing to parents and children across the country." What a crock of shit. Unbelievable that there's a group out there who wants to bring back conversion therapy because they say not having it in place means it's a trans ideology that they're, oh, Jesus Christ, these people, I can't some days. Some days. Why am I exasperated all the time? Shit like that.
Shit like that.
We just put an end to torture, and now they want to bring it back. Again, Gilead, people. Gilead.
Yep. All right, Mr.
Under
Grizzly.
his eye.
Yes. Yeah, I know. All right. Here it is, Mr. Grizzly. What the heck? Why is this giving me so much damn trouble today? All right. Apparently there are. Oh boy.
Gremlins? You
The
get gremlins in
gremlins.
the system? Yeah.
All right, this one. Let's see if I can make it bigger. All right. And here's what she said, and it floored me. Time spent on ideology instead of learning is driving parents nuts and fueling a backlash that will get very ugly very fast if politicians and educators don't pay attention. Frowny face emoji. And she's responding to a tweet that says, "Pronoun time in grade 6 at William G. Davis Public School." Hold on, I need to go back to this class has also been learning all about land acknowledgements, power, identity, etc. And there's a picture of a book that's called "What Are Your Words?" A book about pronouns, along
Oh
with
my
some
goodness.
test papers.
Indoctrination as they ask a question.
Indoctrination as they ask a question. Now, Tasha Keratin starts with time spent on ideology instead of learning. She misframes this right away as
Completely.
ideology. This is not ideology. Instead of learning is driving parents nuts. Stated as a general statement as if it is driving all parents or even an overwhelming majority of them nuts, when the truth is that the majority of parents have no problem with this. and is fueling a backlash that will get very ugly very fast if politicians and educators don't pay attention. Frowny face. So she's saying it like she's sad that this backlash will get very ugly very fast, but she's framing this as ideology instead of just accepting people for who they are, claiming that all parents are being driven nuts when it's really a tiny sliver and a very vocal minority, not as tiny as people would think, particularly Minister of Education Stephen Lecce, and we'll get to him in a second. And as she's complaining of the backlash, she's literally contributing to it, but does it in such a way that she frames it as if she's really concerned about it and sad that this backlash exists. So she doesn't want anybody to criticize her. She wants to look virtuous in this fight. She's framing this to make herself look like she's the virtuous one. But if you pay attention to those little words and the framing and the turn of the sentence, she's sticking the knives in us.
Oh, yeah. I'll be right back.
And this is what I fear what the center ice conservatives or center ice Canadians might end up being as a party. Because if people like Tasha Carradine, who had a reputation for being moderates, are now framing trans children wanting to be referred to in a manner that they find respects them and able to live an authentic life in a place that's safe, that is ideology, that is driving parents nuts. And so much of it is happening so much of the time that it's taking time away from reading and writing and arithmetic, apparently. And that teachers are going up to children and saying, hey, if you want to switch genders, you can, which is happening exactly nowhere. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't say that I have confidence in the center ice movement at the moment. Now, I am willing. They are forming, and there's going to be clash of battles, and some things are not going to survive, and some things are. We'll see what they offer us. But it seems that they have already made the calculation going in that they too need to throw a little bit of red meat to the extreme right. And I was under the very clear and distinct impression that the objective of this organization was to be a little bit more Jean Charest style conservatives, and that would not fly with him. So maybe it's just if you're on the right, you just can't resist the pull of the money that the wackadoodle faction is willing to part with, and no matter how good your intentions are, you just eventually do end up playing footsie with them anyway. We'll see. Because this party's thing is supposed to be about integrity, right? They're not going to play to that faction. They want to be in the middle, center ice. You can't be on the center and have one leg in front of you and then take your right leg and try to man spread it so far wide. If you're going to be the center, then play the center. All right, we'll see. Talking about Education Minister Stephen Lecce, he was on Power and Politics the other day, and he was being interviewed. And that subject, because, well, he is the Minister of Education, so, and this stuff is happening in schools, of course, came up. Now, the government of Ontario is being a little more sly and coy about this subject than is the government of Saskatchewan, who seem to be like really all in, for any lack of a better word, with wanting to invoke the Constitution, invoke the notwithstanding clause in order to force children to live according to Scott Moe's values, because it seems that the only thing motivating this is the fact that he can. Now, as we've mentioned before, usually the parties that are doing this are parties that are not doing well with in the polls, or are being challenged in the polls, and have an election coming up. But that's not the case for Saskatchewan. There's no election this year, and Scott Moe, for some reason, when they look at polling the premiers, is one of the most popular premiers in the nation, and his lead is maybe a little smaller than it was, but he's in no way threatened. So from him, I don't know what this is other than him being the guy that keeps on saying, yeah, me too. Because there's no reason for it. But Stephen Lecce in Ontario, they keep on talking about the need to make schools safe and whatnot, but they're not actually coming out and saying that they are going to actually put in policy in place. So anyway, he was on Power and Politics, and this is what he said. I made it clear that every child needs to feel safe enough in a school. In Ontario, every single child, irrespective of who they are, and they need to know that they are affirmed, they're safe and respected within a publicly funded school. So, that sounds great. But then he keeps talking. I also appreciate that many parents, they want to be, and they expect to be fully aware, fully involved in the life of their children. And the government agrees. I mean, we think parents need to be involved, engaged, and in the know on how things that could be so life-changing. And frankly, I think, we both know, could have serious health implications for the child. And so I want to keep kids safe, and I want to keep parents in the loop, because I think they want to be there to help their children, love their kids, support. It's like, it's like, yes, parents should be engaged and involved. And yes, in a perfect world where kids felt safe, they would tell their parents, and this is a life-changing event, an event that could be life-changing, and and yes, could have implications for the health of the child if they start undergoing treatment and all that kind of stuff. But before anything that stuff happens, there are and certainly before any type of surgery starts happening, there are tons of consultations with psychologists and psychiatrists. And there's a system, right? It's not like you just walk in and say, hey, I would like a sex change today, or I'd like hormone blockers today. And they say, yeah, sure, just sign here, right? It doesn't happen that way. But there are other serious ill health implications for the child from this that the minister's not considering. Like, for example, being in a questioning phase and not getting positive messages about yourself or people like you. Suicide rate among the rainbow community, particularly youth, is particularly high compared to other groups. Yes, this could have serious health implications. And the health implications are not only from transitioning. There's lots of stuff that happens pre-transition.
Oh, yes. And a lot of counseling, too, like a ton of counseling.
Yes. But in terms of health implications, mental, like people cut themselves, because when people are not accepting themselves, when people are different and they keep on getting a message from everyone around them that they're inherently evil or twisted or bad, that also has serious health implications. When you are going to school because it is the only place that you are safe, because home is not, and now all of a sudden you have these group of grown-ups that are threatening to make school unsafe for you too, that too could have, quote, serious health implications for the child. So if you want to keep kids safe, maybe you can't keep parents in the loop. all the time, in every single case, 100% of the time. Maybe a one-size-fits-all policy here is not a good one. And maybe a policy that has the inherent bias in it that parents are going to be, like you say, they want to help their children, love their kids, support. Not all the time. And he recognizes this because he goes on, quote, and obviously I'm aware of there's exceptional circumstances where an educator feels that may not be the case, but there's already a protocol in place in Ontario where educators can take action to protect kids. But for the overwhelming majority of parents, they want to know so they can support their kids. They want to be aware. I expect them to be fully involved, right? Fully engaged in the life of their children. And it's just like the fact that a child is not yet willing to tell their parents that they are trans or gay doesn't mean that the parent isn't fully engaged in the life of their child. Because as I mentioned, this fully gay. And my mom had gay friends, and she told me about gay people when I was young. And I knew 99.9876% of me knew that I'd be perfectly safe telling my mom. But I had heard stories, and I've seen stories, and I know people who thought their parents were fine until it was in their house.
Yeah. And that,
the kid did not see that
sums it up right there. That sums it up right there. It's like it's fine when it's the neighbor's kid, but not when it's mine.
And hey, I went through that as well. The last foster home I lived in, the last 10 years I was there. I was there for 10 years. I left shortly before my 19th birthday. When I was 16, I joined an organization in Ottawa called Gay Youth of Ottawa, where we had monthly meetings on Wednesday nights. And it was a safe space, and we could talk. We can come out with other people our own age, 16 to 20, 23, 24, and talk about coming up process and other things that we're going through. And it was a safe space. We can make some friends. There was a non-alcohol environment. There were dances Friday night where you can go and dance and hang out with people, not in a bar environment, not in a club, not with 40, 50-year-old men or women who could be going, hey, you're kind of cute. Right?
Your own peer group.
Right, your own peer group. And it was friends. We hung out, we went clubbing. We'd go to Dunn's afterwards and eat burgers. We'd go to a camp once every summer and all hang out together. It was very safe and fun space. Well, one day I misplaced my wallet, and my membership card for the organization was in there. Now, it was a wallet I made myself in shop class, so it was clear that was my wallet. But still, they opened it and went through everything to find out whose wallet it was. And they stumbled upon my membership card for the gay youth. They did not say anything to me about it for about 2 years.
Oh, really?
On the day I was moving out, as I put the last box into the van, that is when my foster father asked me, are you gay? And I said, yes, of course. Which was a little bit of a surprise. I've never had any contact with him ever again since.
Wow.
And the entire time I lived there, their number one complaint was with all the people that went through their home, because before they were a foster home, they were a halfway house for transitioning prisoners. That almost nobody that they had helped, and they had helped hundreds of people throughout their entire life, came back and maintained a relationship after.
Interesting.
And I had promised them when I was 12, 13, 14, that I would never do that. I would be the one that would never do that. They cut me off.
Yeah, funny how that works, huh?
And I was the good kid. I was the one they never had problems with. And they cast me aside. They cast me aside. Now, my foster father was a pension student at Alfred.
I don't know what that is.
That was the brothers in one of those schools back in the day and whatnot, like this. And unfortunately, he was touched inappropriately or other things. So therefore, he made the association that pedophile equals gay, and therefore, so I understand where he comes from. But as a 1 month past your 19th birthday person, the world that you just had for the last 10 years, even though it was far from perfect, but it was stable, has just closed and there's no going back. You've just been disposed of. Kleenex. For 10 years, you got paid to take care of me. That covered part of your house, part of your mortgage and whatnot. Now you're done with me and I'm gone.
Telling.
I was a check.
Yeah, telling.
I was a check. That happened to me. Okay, so when Stephen Lecce is saying like the overwhelming majority of parents, yeah, the majority of parents are probably loving or accepting, will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a reason for which about 40% of street youth, 40% of homeless street youth,
yes,
identifies as rainbow.
Yeah, no, I know this because I've chatted with street youth, like, you know, sat and had conversations with them, I mean, you know, over the years, and many of them told me why they left home, and it was because their parental units could not accept them for who they were. I've had this conversation with many people on the street.
Yeah. So
this is a common occurrence. So, I mean, if a child feels that they have a safe space in school with a teacher or peer group to be who they are, but they can't do it at home, maybe we should respect their right to privacy. Do you think that would be a good idea? Do you think?
I think that would be a damn freaking amazing idea.
Right.
So while you have people like Stephen Lecce who are commenting and making it rather clear in their comments that they really don't grasp the situation. They really think it's like, maybe 1% of parents would have a problem with that. That's still 1% way too many because we're talking about children.
And that would be
will be
what,
thrown out of their homes.
400,000 people in this country? 1% of 40 million? 400,000 children. You're just going to throw them aside like they're trash because, it's only 1%.
It's only 1%. So he keeps on going on. But for the overwhelming majority of parents, they want to know so they can support their kids. They want to be aware. I expect them to be fully involved and engaged. Right? So then he goes, the journalist that was asking him said he's been talking to trans advocates, and they say if the child is making the choice not to share that information with their parents, they're doing so for a good reason. So should that not be taken into consideration? Should the child's rights also not be taken into consideration when it comes to this issue? And should there not be a uniform approach? And the guy's journalist is asking, should there be a uniform approach as opposed to a patchwork from school boards to school board? Because it seems that in Ontario, they don't want to create a national policy. They're just going to let school boards decide that on their own. But he keeps on sending the message that he's, of course, supportive. So he goes, yeah, we're setting out as a province our expectation that parents are fully aware, fully involved, fully engaged with transparency and the rights of parents prevail. That is so critical, I think, in the society where they're their legal guardians. You know, parents love their kids. They want to support their kids. Not all the time. They've got to be aware of what's happening in a school that affects their children.
I guess this is also troublesome to me because of the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Stephen Lecce part of the rainbow community? Maybe I'm wrong. I was told he was. So,
I'm thinking it might be a John Baird thing where he's never said anything.
Okay. But still, isn't he betraying?
If he is, then
Melissa Lantsman. Why is Melissa Lantsman silent yesterday?
And Eric Duncan and yep, again. Yep. So, and it continues. Obviously, there's policies in place that have been there before that we spoke of about this today, that if God forbid, and this would be an exceptional circumstance, that there may be a parent or guardian that, could put a risk or harm on a child. See, he keeps on trying to minimize that circumstance. There's an established protocol that educators know exactly what to do and who determined to ensure the safety. It's like, there's an established protocol that educators, so we're going to, it's almost like they keep on like putting it back down. Now they're just putting it right on the teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not how many. I know that educators have protocols that if a child is in danger,
Right.
they know. But the whole policy from the start is biased towards telling parents and pressuring the child to tell parents. And now you're not only going to leave it to the school boards or the individual educator to do all the research to find out whether or not the child would be or not be safe if this was told, and then to do all the legwork to get.
Linda's
I understand
message
that if a
on the
child is
screen.
in danger, then yes, you drop everything and you do all the legwork to make sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there, but come on,
Linda's
man.
message we have on the screen right now is important because this is how they get in, right? The bigots will target getting elected to school boards, and the chaos will ensue when schools are being dictated by people who don't know what they're doing. That is not a stretch, Linda. That's how they start.
Right,
That's
because
how they take over.
They never game out the policy to see how it would affect in real life, and then they realize, and then there's a whole bunch of damage, and then come the lawsuits. Right. So yeah, but here we go. He ends, and here's the thing. This is where you know where it is that he's really leaning, where he throws the red meat. We've got to ensure transparency prevails. I don't want to hear examples where parents are being misled. I think that transparency is critical, and obviously safety is critical too. So the decision of an educator who might be aware, or the educator that is aware that a child is asking for different pronouns or different names, and aware that the child at home might be in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And that teacher decides that they're going to keep that information in confidence. That is the equivalent of misleading parents.
Yeah.
To this Minister of Education and to this government. So they're not reckless enough to make it a provincial policy, as is in the case of New Brunswick or Saskatchewan, because, well, this is Ontario and they know that won't fly here, because we have way more bigger urban population. But they want to. And clearly they think their path to victory passes there, because everything in that is saying, yeah, there's a risk, but we already have systems to that. It would be such a slim minority that we don't really have to worry about it. What we really have to worry about is teachers misleading parents. Teachers misleading parents about their children.
Exasperated all the damn time. I got to put that on a t-shirt. I'm exasperated all the damn time.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Grizzly, since we're talking about teachers, there was a great TikTok yesterday from an actual teacher.
Oh.
And I would like to be able to play it here.
Well, if you send me the link, I can play it.
Okay. Yeah, I will do that, because I think that's just the smarter way to go here rather than trying it. This one floored me. The entire time she's speaking, it's like, yeah, sister, go, preach. So, Kid Saucy. Charles Adler had an interview with Max Fawcett that discussed school boards and the importance to run for them because conservatives are coming for them. Okay, good. Then I will make sure to listen to that, and please put that on your listening lists, kids, because Max Fawcett is fantastic, and so is Charles Adler. So
he's good. We've done shows with both those fine gentlemen.
Yes.
How long is this video clip? Because I got to jump.
2 minutes, 22 seconds.
It's okay. I should be okay. Yeah, I should be okay. Give me a sec. Let's start this. I'll run it, and here we go.
This message is for Education Minister of Ontario, Stephen Lecce. If you're not Stephen Lecce, please keep scrolling. I was a teacher for 10 years in the province of Ontario, and I want you to know how important it is that we make sure our schools are safe spaces for students that come from really terrible backgrounds. I cannot tell you how many insidiously homophobic parents I've come into contact with. And I allowed evidence to identify with anything they wanted and use whatever name they wanted. And you know how much they blossomed in my classroom? It was so beautiful to see those kids walk through my doors and finally feel safe because I was the only adult in their life who cared about them. I understand that you believe potentially in a romanticized version of what families are like in Ontario. They're terrible places for children. There are some parents out there that are such mean, violent, angry people that they won't even let their sons wear nail polish without threatening the most intense violence on the planet. Please, 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 please understand that it's so important that we create exceptionally safe spaces for students to figure out who they are without the threat of being disowned or even punished in some small way by the people they don't feel comfortable talking to. You know, Jesus allows name changes, allowed them in his lifetime specifically. So the province of Ontario should allow name changes too, without, you know, any type of risk to the kid in question. Blessings and peace.
Wow. You know who
Right?
we should try and get back on the show that we haven't had on in a little while is our dear friend Unlearned 16.
Yes. Yes.
I'd love to talk to her about this.
And I'd love to talk to Murray Billett about the government of Saskatchewan threatening to use the notwithstanding clause.
Let's see if we can set something up and have we might have to record it because schedules, right? Not everybody can do 7 a.m. live. We get that.
Yep.
Let's see if we can set something up to do it. We I think it's important. And we're going to stick with the school theme. We have an upcoming interview this weekend that we're going to record and probably air it on Tuesday. Oh, maybe Monday, because I'm going to be in the office on Monday. Yeah. Maybe we'll air it Monday morning. Yeah. We've got an upcoming interview. It's about school. That's all I'm going to say. It's about school, and it's from a student. And the student will not appear on camera. Right. And I am going to disguise the student's voice because I do not want any blowback on this person.
Yes.
We're gonna attack this issue head on, and come in with our dukes up. I got to jump out. I'll be back in a few minutes, sir.
Yeah. I don't. I've mentioned it on the show. I am pissed off. One, that a ton of allegedly heterosexual, allegedly cisgender, allegedly Christian people or God-fearing people, regardless of their religion, are trying to decide for me and my rainbow family how it is that we are going to live and what rights we are going to have. The Indigenous community loves to say nothing about us without us. That's what's going on here. All right. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. And I do not like, and I've never liked, no matter what the subject is, trying to blow through children in order to get to your destination. Those are some of the lowest things that can be done. So my biases are clearly on the table. You know where I stand on that, and that's the lens through which I interpret these events. And And I'm not trying to be fair. I mean, I am trying to be fair in that, I presented that quote from Karima. And yes, there are some people that are being exploited, and I do have compassion for that, and I do have pity for them. But I'm not, when you come for kids, I'm not interested in being fair. I'm just not. It takes a large effort for me to make sure that this show doesn't just go into this big screaming screed. But these are no-goes. And these reveal so much about the people that are doing it. And they tell you, it's a big neon sign pointing, going like, you cannot trust me. I am not to be trusted. So we've got to keep on standing up. We've got to keep on standing up, and we've got to make bigots unwelcome. That's why I keep on saying democracy is something that you do. You got to throw your body into the game. Some of us are going to have to run for school boards. Some of us are going to have to run for municipal government. We know what their strategy is. They're telling us this is how we're going to defeat you. So it's stand up and be counted time. Fortunately, there are people that are willing to do that. But I'm telling you, if you are at home and you are a retired person and you believe in equality for everyone, please make your volunteer engagement running for a school board or sitting on a school board council. Please use your time and do that. Fight for your grandkids. If you've got the time, please. Your country needs you. Run for something. If you don't have time to run for something, make a point that you're going to show up to at least half or a quarter of municipal council meetings or school board meetings, that you will be there to go to the mic and say something. If you're at a meeting where one of these people are there and say, we got to protect the kids, that you are there to provide the ratio. You are there to provide the counselors there or the trustees there with some backup, showing that there is not just these loudmouths' point of view, to give them something to latch onto, to say no to them. Please do. Please do. Put your body in the game. While we're waiting for Mr. Grizzly to return, we've got a couple of other things for you. If I just find them here in my notes. Let's see, what else do we have here? In the province of Ontario, there were job strikes that were threatening a strike among schools teachers. No deal at the last time I checked had been reached with unions for elementary teachers, Catholic teachers, as well as teachers in the French system. But it did reach a deal with one of them. I'm guessing one of the 4 school boards, and that it's the secondary school teachers union that they've reached a deal with. And hopefully that will be used as a template, and that it will help resolve this without kids having to be out of school. Education Minister Stephen Lecce on this said, quote, "It's ensuring that our young people master the fundamental skills that actually matter when they graduate to get a good job." He's talking about a plan to return back to basics in terms of curriculum this year. It's improving reading, writing, and math. It's imposing binding accountability and metrics on school boards to up their game when it comes to academic achievement. And he says that it's supporting 2,000 more educators in a brand new curriculum that emphasizes mandatory learning, cursive, writing phonics, and financial literacy. Jobs and life skills combined together. As we said, they have that apprentice thing that they're doing for kids in grade 11. And he's talking about a little bit more money, $690 more million than last year, and being invested in base funding. A lot of schools, unfortunately, have had some trouble finding staff to start the year as well. I believe in the province of Quebec, just before the school year started, they were down 10% in terms of school support staff, in terms of what they needed. And that's been a case in several provinces. So hopefully they've been able to make up the shortfall in that case. All right, let's see what else do we have here. We have India with the visas. In the Northwest Territories, there are still 121 active fires burning, and we're finding out a little more that in Hay River, the fire had come within 500 meters of the hospital, but fortunately didn't get there. So either Mother Nature or the people who were fighting the fire managed, or a combination of both, managed to save that, which is very good. Over 4 million hectares have burned to date, but nearly all evacuation orders have been lifted for the moment. And the territory reports that its budget for fighting fires has tripled this year to over $100 million. So the territory will probably need some help there. What else do we have? Yesterday was, well, today's day 143 of the longest strike in Hollywood history, but it seems that talks have resumed between the Writers Guild of America and producers. Not so much, no report yet on the Actors Guild yet. Some talk show hosts like Bill Maher and Drew Barrymore and Jennifer Hudson had made some plans to bring their daytime talk shows back without writers, and that provoked a lot of backlash. Unlike late night talk shows, for some reason they're treated differently, and I don't know why that is, but late night talk shows, their writers are on strike and they are not facing cancellation, but the daytime shows, because they're often broadcast in syndication, it seems that a lot of them are being threatened with cancellation. So that's why a lot of them decided to try to put their shows back on air, to keep the brand up, to keep them financially viable, so that they would be ready for people to return to. It seems that for the daytime talk shows that are in syndication, if they do not have shows on air, they might be in a breach of contract situation by not producing the content, because the rules are different. We'll see what happens there. Sean Williamson, who's the president of Bright Light Pictures, says that in Canada, studios are quiet, and in Toronto, active productions have dropped from about 25 to 5. So we're still being affected here. The studios might be coming to the table because the strike has lasted longer than a lot of people expected, and now Warner Brothers, at least in a security filing, stated that the strikes could cost the studio as much as $500 million. So it seems the studio strategy of just waiting the actors and the writers out until they can't afford rent anymore and come crawling back to work for pittances may not have worked. So we'll see what happens with that as well. In Canada and in the United States simultaneously, because it is the summer of labor. Last day of it, I believe, but also the year of labor. The Canadian auto workers and the United Auto Workers in the United States are in contract negotiations. And in the United States, as we had mentioned before, for the first time ever, there were spot strikes at each of the 3 manufacturers, involving about 13,000 people. And it seems that they had voted to go for full strike, and that looks like that may be happening because in the United States, the UAW is looking for a 40% wage increase because CEO pay has gone up 40% over a certain period of time, and they believe that, well, they've contributed to that good fortune and deserve their cut. and I do not disagree. In Canada, however, it seems that negotiations are going in a different way. It seems that a model agreement has been established with Ford and the Canadian Auto Workers, and that will be going to the other two unions so that they can model their deals on it. And things seem to be going more smoothly there. I do not know if the Canadian side is asking for pay increases that are equivalent to increases in CEO and management pay. There's the talks have actually been rather I guess the word would be hermetic, where not a lot has leaked out, which is usually a good sign actually in contract negotiations. So hey, let's see how that works out. Um, the green belt controversy got
Mm,
a little more greasy, literally,
sure.
maybe. Um, w- w-
I don't know. Missed it. I missed it.
well,
What happened?
when we said that Premier Porky Pig and his minion of greased pigs were, involved in some greasy deals, I never thought that it would result, and I think nobody saw this coming, in another cabinet minister being felled by the controversy. In this case, it's Khalid Rashid, who is out as business services minister and as a member of the caucus of the party completely, because the province's integrity commissioner is looking at how the government went about choosing parcel of land to remove from the protected green belt. And while he's doing that, well, questions about Mr. Rashid's meetings with a developer during a Las Vegas trip earlier this month. And it seems that there were massages involved. So we literally have a literal greased pig. I do not know why the minister needed to be in Las Vegas. um, I am hoping that it wasn't side by side massages with the developer or side by side mud baths. But yeah, just when you think it can't get more greasy, glad handy, backslapping. There it is. It happens. And I do not know what the reason is, but for some reason I am putting his name in the Twitter feed and entering massage, and I cannot find a single story pop up. So I would like to give you more details, Kits, on the story, because all I did was hear that on the news, but for some reason it is not coming up. So I am going to have to move to another story. And every time I'm entering something in the search engine to try to give you some more information, for some reason it is not cooperating with me, or it is changing the web address to bring me someplace else by autofilling. And it's obviously hard to talk at the same time as you're typing, at the same time as you're looking for information, at the same time as you're scanning the information that you are trying to look for, to make sure it's the actual information you're looking for. Ah, where's my producer? Where's my producer? But yeah, for some reason, I am entering his name into the web browser, and for some reason, nothing is coming up when I'm typing Khalid Rashid. So hopefully, Mr. Grizzly will come back and we'll talk for a bit, and he'll give me time to find something out and give you more information on that. But yes, literally greased, because I assume the massage therapist, if it was a massage therapist, but not just a massage. Please tell me it was with the registered massage therapist, because then the scandal takes on even more color and texture.
I heard that.
Oh, you did hear that. Okay.
That's funny.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's just
Oh, I hear. I hear you. I
everything
hear you.
from this whole
It's
thing
all very
is like from there. It is. I found the article finally from Central Cast from our episode was like direct from Central Casting when we saw Phoenix Kiss and and John Mutton Chops and it's like, could these people look? But here, okay, I finally found the article. It was harder to find. Yeah, then
Oh, really?
because I kept on entering his name, Khalid Rashid Massage, and a whole bunch of stuff, or Ford, and whatnot. Nothing would come up. I actually had to go to the CBC website, look under Ontario, look under politics, and actually find the article. But I've got it because I go the extra mile. So the article says, Mississauga East Cooksville MPP Khalid Rashid has resigned from cabinet and the Ontario Progressive Conservative Caucus in the wake of an Integrity Commissioner probe into the province's Greenbelt land swap. Rashid's resignation comes after reporting from CTV and the Trillium questioned the timeline about a trip to Las Vegas. In his investigation into the controversial decision to open portions of Ontario's protected Greenbelt land to housing development, the province's Integrity Commissioner interviewed Rashid about the trip after the Trillium reported that Rashid traveled there with Amin Massoudi, then Ford's principal secretary, at the same time as developer Shakir Rahmatullah. Rahmatullah's company owns land that was among the parcels removed from the Greenbelt in November 2022 for housing development. Rahmatullah, pardon? Yes.
How convenient.
Rahmatullah is the founder and president of Markham, Ontario-based Flateau Developments, which was behind 3 successful requests to remove land from Greenbelt in Markham and Witchcliff Stouffville last fall, according to the province's Integrity Commissioner. Rashid Massoudi NJ Truesdell, at the time in the private sector, but who now serves as Ford's Director of Housing Policy, told the Integrity Commissioner they went to Las Vegas in December 2019. Rashid and Massoudi, quote, briefly encountered, unquote, Rahmatullah there, they said. Massoudi told the Integrity Commissioner he had only met Rahmatullah a handful of times, including at the wedding of Ford's daughter. Rashid said,
interesting.
Again, how convenient. Rashid said that he and Rahmatullah are close friends and Rashid's wife worked for the developer.
It's all just happenstance, circumstance.
Close friends. Are you sure? Are you sure you're close friends? Because Paul, your big boss, just said that they're not friends at all. But I guess that was at the time you were the Integrity Commissioner, which was before Ford disowned all his close friends. So I guess you were sticking to the script then. Okay, so you're being consistent. Rahmatullah said he was in Las Vegas in December 2019 and late January to early February 2020. Okay, twice, and recalled seeing Rashid in a hotel lobby on one of those trips. CTV News reported this week that Rashid, Rahmatullah, and Massoudi got massages on February 1st, 2020 at the same Las Vegas hotel spa. A spokesperson for Rashid told the outlet the trip was originally booked for December 2019 but got rescheduled, and Rashid mistakenly shared incorrect information with the Integrity Commissioner based on the original itinerary.
That just sounds so greasy. Look, I have a registered massage therapist that I haven't seen in quite some time, and now my beloved takes care of me for that. But I would never book a massage appointment with a buddy. Hey, let's go get massages together. Does that not strike you as odd?
Unimpressed face.
Like
Really?
Odd.
Really?
Like greasy. Right?
Literally. Break out the massage oil. In a statement on X, formerly known as Twitter, Rashid, who served as Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery, said he will continue to serve his constituents. Quote, with incredibly difficult, this decision was made so as to not distract from the important work of the government. And of course, he will take the steps required to clear his name. I'm not sure how you clear your name of getting a massage that you actually got at a hotel in Las Vegas where there was a developer, and with all of that, you mistakenly shared incorrect information with the integrity commissioner based on the original itinerary. Mistakenly, you just, I'm yeah, I had to reschedule. Oh, the integrity commissioner said, oh yeah, let's send him the itinerary of the original trip and not the one I actually took. That's
Mhm.
a mistake.
Yeah. Oopsie.
I don't know enough to know whether or not it's a mistake or not, but we have this situation in the United States where Justice Clarence Thomas gets to keep on amending his disclosure forms, and every now and then it's like, oh, that was a mistake. Oh, sorry, that was an oversight. Oh, well, I consulted with that, and I consulted with other people who told me that I could do this way, even though I'm a Supreme Court justice, and my whole thing is supposed to be like reading complicated texts and interpreting them. But anyway, yes, it was a mistake, and because I just, how many times do you get to mistakenly fill out a disclosure form before people start considering that maybe it's not mistakes? Just, we seem to have a lot of ability to suspend disbelief and to give lots of benefit of the doubt when people who actually work in these fields turn around and it's like, oh, I don't know. I just suddenly forgot how the rules work, or my ability to interpret legal text has suddenly just gone up in smoke. Sorry. I know you would expect me to be a little better at interpreting the law given I'm a Supreme Court justice, or interpreting policy given that I write it. But no. Girl, please. Speaking of lawyers who can't read the fine print, Eva Chipmunk, or Eva Chipyuk, now infamous from coast to coast to coast for having been the person that had to fill in for Benji at the Public Order Emergency Commission after he got pulled after being a disaster, I think, for 11 days in a row. And of course, she had this incredible line of questioning that ended with her asking the Prime Minister, when did you become afraid of your citizens? Well, apparently, Genius decided that she was going to travel internationally for some reason, and I guess she was traveling to Poland, and I'm guessing that she once was a Polish citizen because, or maybe still is, has dual citizenship because she has a Polish passport, and she decided that she was going to be traveling on that Polish passport. I'm guessing to make some point because she's embarrassed to travel on the Canadian passport or something, because there's nothing about the Canadian passport that won't get her into Poland. But hey, my Beaver sweetie is a dual citizen as well. Sometimes he goes back to Romania on his Romanian passport. Sometimes it makes it easier on his EU passport. Fine, no problem with that. Problem is that this lady, Eva Chipyuk, who is a lawyer, who I'm sure it's probably not her first international trip, decided not to bring her Canadian passport with her along with her EU or Polish passport. And apparently, when she got to the airport, so she claims now, asked the people at the counter at Air Canada whether or not she'd be okay coming back home with a Polish passport. And they said, oh, yeah, absolutely. And apparently, well, she had trouble. So she says, because again, this is Eva Chipmunk. So, right. Like, how sometimes you take things with a grain of salt? With her, you take with a whole damn salt lick. There you go. So, all right.
Yeah.
So apparently, she said that she asked and they said she'd be okay. Apparently, she tried to board her flight and couldn't. Maybe she missed her flight. Who knows? But according to her version of the story, she couldn't get on. Now, apparently, she's like, says, well, Air Canada promised me. It's like, you're a lawyer. And this is not your
You should
first
know better.
international trip, we assume.
Well, if she has 2 passports, it's probably pretty likely it's
Right.
not her first.
Why not check with the source, Global Affairs Canada, on your little computer before
But then she
you
wouldn't be able
decide
to-
decide which passports, if that's a question you have to. Who shows up at an airport if you've traveled before internationally, leaving one of their 2 passports at home and deciding, hey, person at the counter, can I get back
You're the
home?
authority.
Like this, you have the choice of
You're
asking
the
the person
authority
at the
on things
counter
like
or like this, or actually going to the Government of Canada website and finding out. And you're a lawyer, and that fine little text that's written this small, like on the bottom of stuff like this, that you
Mhm.
need a magnifying glass to read, and a telescope and a microscope. That's your thing. That's the stuff that you do. Understanding
She wouldn't be able
understanding
to
those
have,
texts is your thing.
that would give her the give up her ability to complain about Air Canada and complain about, you know what I mean?
But they're not happy unless they
she
are
won't have
complaining,
Yeah,
right?
well, this is the
So
thing. She's the dumbest.
So
lawyer
she
in Canada.
goes to Europe, doesn't bring her Canadian passport, asks the guy at the counter at Air Canada before she leaves whether or not she can get back in with her EU passport, is told yes. It seems that it's written right there on the passport thing. You know, it's like, if you're traveling like this, please have your Canadian passport. Sure makes it easier for you to get back in. And well, she went on Twitter and woo, boy, did she have a meltdown. Oh my God. It's like, anyone in Canada can get me back into Canada without my Canadian passport? I'm stuck at Gatwick and Canada is blocking my travel because I have my Polish passport on me. It's great. It's a crazy, silly administrative issue and I need help. There is no one to call, just endless Canadian websites. In Canada, when I left Air Canada, said this would not be a problem. Not happy. So I missed the flight because 1, I was given incorrect information by airline representatives, and 2, the Canadian system that knows I have a Canadian passport won't let me into Canada because I don't have my Canadian passport on me. Make that make sense. Now I'm
Dumbest lawyer in Canada.
Now I'm at the airport dumbfounded because now I'm not sure what to do. Wait for this electronic passport to be issued or get the passport couriered to me. This is not smart, Canada. Not smart at all. Of course, this is all Canada's fault, right? You made the choice to leave Canada without your Canadian passport, then ask an agent at Air Canada as you're checking whether or not that would be okay.
Personal
And then,
responsibility.
right,
Personal
right.
responsibility.
To be very clear, the absurdity of the situation, if I didn't have a Canadian passport, I would be let into Canada, no problem. Then she actually goes to a website and gets 2 screen caps like this about getting a special authorization to board a flight to Canada. And she actually tweets, okay, can anyone translate this to me? What does it even say? You're a lawyer. Reading text and understanding it is kind of the foundation of what you do, woman. Eva Chipiuk, BSc, LLB, LLM, cannot read a web page and understand it. She needs someone to translate this to her.
So she's part of the convites in that blaming everyone else and everything else in society as if it's only happening to her.
And now, right? Because I say these people are not happy unless they're complaining. Next one on the thread. Perhaps Canada, you can also use spell check before you send standard form letters around the world. Really? This is now your issue? Feel free also, Canada, to provide any clarification about how this makes any sense. Would be much appreciated. And then she actually writes a response because her application for a special authorization to board a flight to Canada is pending. And she receives this message that says it's pending. And she actually writes an answer, and posts it because she still doesn't understand what's going on and why. I'm thinking of an older person like my mom going through this. Not good at all. Well, probably an older person would have set a reminder to bring their passport. They're doing a prayer in the airport in 30 minutes. I might join and pray for Canada. Nothing yet. No email. No phone call. Her application is still pending. Oh, then the email I got provided contact details for the UK High Commission. It bounced back. Tried using this website, and guess what? Another error message. Then Air Canada writes, "Hello, Eva. Please note all Canadians holding dual citizenship must travel to Canada with their Canadian passports. You will find further details on the Canadian government website, bit.ly/3BZ709T," and they provide a link. "It is passengers' responsibility to validate their eligibility to travel and to have all updated travel documents validated directly with the government of the countries they will be entering or transiting through. Best regards, Air Canada Social Media." Really, Air Canada? You need to send this to your representatives. I specifically asked your representatives when I flew out if this was an issue.
No such thing as personal responsibility with these people. None. No, it's always somebody else's
You will
fault.
find...
I've suffered so much. We all did, you stupid
Bunt cake. Quote, "You will find further details on the Canadian government website." Lawyers usually go to the source to get information.
She needs to be angry so she can have something to complain about.
Then, so...
She's an idiot. She's the dumbest lawyer in Canada. She's willfully ignorant.
So, just spoke to the High Commission in London. It is worse than I thought. If I don't get this authorization, that will cancel my Canadian passport, which she has no idea how long I should wait. Then I can apply for a special travel document that can take up to 3 days. Or I fly into the US and drive into Canada today. Mind blown, mind blown, mind blown, mind blown emoji. Canadian flight. Mind blown, mind blown, mind blown, mind blown, mind blown emoji. What are we, 3? Maybe second time is a charm. I got a similar email from another agent about the special authorization with a couple of extra questions. The email and my response below. I rebooked my flight, but 5 hours later, still have no idea if I can board it. The crazy thing is, they will cancel my Canadian passport so I can legally fly to Canada. CanadianVisa.com. Is this really what you intended when you made and applied these rules? Do you think this rule needs to be revisited? Apparently, they needed a signed document from me. Although they did specify in their second email that was the issue. I'm at the airport without any office equipment, so I had to write it out and take a picture. Again, I cannot imagine this happening to an elderly person or someone with kids. Really? You can't imagine this happening to an elder... sir, you'd actually have to sign this. Oh, okay, thank you. So then the elderly person reaches into their pen, grabs their purse or tote bag. The parent with kids reaches into whatever they're carrying and takes out something we call a pen and applies their signature to something we call a paper or an electronic screen. And then the issue's resolved. Yeah, I just... But you can't imagine that. Okay. Update. I now have permission to travel back to Canada. What a crazy, crazy, crazy counterintuitive resolution. Not sure if my Canadian passport is going to be canceled or not. Didn't say in this email. So she gets the authorization to travel, and it's like, but you didn't answer every single one of my questions to my satisfaction. So again, I'm just not grateful. We agree to be governed because we expect public goods and services in return for the taxes we pay. But if these processes and systems are pointless or ineffective, should we not demand that it be better for all Canadians? The reason I am doing what I'm doing is that I hope that we can create a better Canada for all. Let's demand high quality and effective public goods and survives, typo, I guess, from our government. We are, I guess you mean services there. We are paying dearly for them anyways. Dear Randy Boissonneau, as my MP, I would really like to speak to you about this. Now she wants to speak to the manager about this experience and a couple of other matters I originally wrote to you about. Could you please respond to my email request for a meeting? The request was made quite some time ago. Thank you in advance. Then Rupa comes in and says, amazing. How do you grant citizenship to someone who was denied immigration several times by Canadian immigration officials, came to Canada on false pretexts, and has a wanted man on serious crimes and terror-related offenses in India? Shameful. And then she goes, compare this to my debacle today. And why is Canada so... Then she's just going random. Why is Canada so divided and filled with hate? And now she takes a picture of her boarding pass. Love me or hate me, I'm coming home. Love, pray, Canada emoji. And then, of course, later on, those calling me a bad lawyer should know this is not a law. Turns out it's not a law, it's a government policy. Ooh, makes so much difference.
Me, look at 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 me. I'm the center of attention.
So, I did not plan my travel correctly. I did not check a Government of Canada website to see what documentation I needed to travel or get back in. I forgot it. But because the Government of Canada hasn't planned a system to compensate for my stupidity, lack of personal planning, lack of personal responsibility, carelessness, sloppiness, it is the Government of Canada's fault, not my fault, that I can't get back home. The government needs to be providing services, needs to predict how stupid and careless or sloppy I can be, and then have something packaged waiting just for me so that I experience as a blonde white woman in Canada. No inconvenience ever, especially if I choose by my own volition or willfulness, or maybe just to make a stunt point that I'm not going to travel on my Canadian passport because I'm so embarrassed to be Canadian.
I just can't with these people.
When you are always the victim in your narrative, that might be a you problem. Heave a chipmunk. Now, here's where the cynical part of me comes in. Do you really believe that this woman did not know any of this before she left? Or do you believe that this woman knew that if she traveled without her Canadian passport, that, yeah, she'd have a little more trouble getting back in, but she's going to get back in eventually? Because from her first tweet to the last tweet where she confirmed that she actually had a flight, all of that took about 5 hours. I have traveled internationally before, and I've had issues every now and then. 5 hours is pretty damn freaking quick to get an authorization to come back into your own country when you don't have a passport. I don't know what she's complaining about. That is a pretty freaking fast turnaround.
Yeah.
Her first... Man.
Oh, yeah.
Just... Please. We all apparently needed to care about her plight. I mean, she compared, right? Compare this to my debacle. The whole immigration situation. And just going like, compare this to my debacle. You forgot to bring, or intentionally, because I don't know which one it is, but whichever one, whether it was intentionally or you forgot, the situation was is you didn't have a passport to get back into the country. Something pretty much any reasonable person who has traveled at least internationally once before can reasonably foresee would be a problem.
If you have two passports, one being from the country you currently reside in, why wouldn't you? I got to jump again. I'll be back in a few minutes. Sorry. We should probably wrap up soon, but I'll be back in about 5 or 10. Okay.
Now I can understand, like I said, if you are a European citizen, you're dual citizen, and you also have a EU passport, that entering the EU on your EU passport does make things a little simpler because there are lines for EU citizens and lines for non-EU citizens, and the lines for EU citizens you pass through, and it's more effective and more efficient, right? But you still bring the other one in case, right? I mean, this is not a thing about, oh, you're a bad Canadian citizen if you choose to travel on your other passport. You're allowed to be Canadian and something else. We have no problem with that whatsoever, right? Our laws, our policies, our regulations, all of it, no matter which level you call them, because, right, first there's the law, and then there are regulations which have force of law, but they're not laws officially. And then there are, policies and whatnot that flow from them. But all of this is based in law, right? When she's saying, like, this is not even a law. It's a policy that flows from regulation. Regulations do need to be published in the Gazette. That flows from a law that was passed. So, I mean, while a policy is not a law, it's the fruit from the law tree. You would think a lawyer would know that. Oh, man. But once again, kids, we have this theme of people choosing to refuse to accept personal responsibility. So either they want the situation of having all the choices being made available to them, as was the case for the convoyers. Said, I don't want to take this vaccine, but I still want a right to go work in the crowded meat plant where everybody else is there and I can make them sick. And if you stop me, well, then you're violating my rights. No consideration of the fact that everybody else at that meat plant has rights as well. Right? And because you have made a choice, you were presented with two choices: take the vaccine, and it comes with these consequences. Don't take the vaccine, and it comes with these consequences. There's like, no. How about I don't take the vaccine, and I don't have any consequences? Well, I'm sorry, sir. This is not a Burger King. You don't get to have it your way. And even if it was a Burger King, that would not be on the menu. We do not offer you the option of not getting the shot and still circulating through society to infect a whole bunch of other people and make them sick and possibly cost them their lives and destroy families and destroy the millions of dollars that we as a government have put in that person by spending all that money to educate them and make sure that they grow into a functioning adult. School, university, all the healthcare that we paid for this person through their entire life until like they became 35, 36. We're just going to blow that all up in flames so that you can cough on them and make that person expire and blow all our investment. If you're speaking in sheer financial terms, nobody would make that decision. Nobody would allow that decision. But then you throw in politics. Hey, maybe I can get an extra 2% in the polls if I say, yeah, you know what? You should have the right to go to work and cough all over people while there's a pandemic going on. And, people are dropping like flies. And we don't exactly know why. And we don't actually have a treatment or a cure yet. But hey, knock yourselves out. Just wipe out our entire staff. Our human resource department can handle that. They can hire 100 other meat packers tomorrow somewhere. Don't worry. We got that. Go ahead. Sneeze on me. My rights. My rights. I wanted to go to Hawaii during the convoy or during the pandemic. I didn't get to take my summer vacation. All I need is a vacation. I didn't get to go to my sister's birthday party. I didn't go to my brother's wedding. Yeah, they're milestones. I didn't get to go to my sweetie didn't get to go to his graduation for his PhD. I didn't get to have a 50th birthday party. We did not get to have a housewarming party when we bought a new house. We celebrated our 10th anniversary. We had no party for that. My sweetie celebrated his 40th birthday. We had no party for that. We didn't then just turn around and say, oh, well, it's the government's fault that we missed all these milestones and now our life sucks. It's like, we found other ways to celebrate. We didn't just roll over and say, oh, well, there's a pandemic and there's a shelter at home order. So I guess, well, even though we've been together 10 years, we won't do anything to celebrate that and mark that. Trudeau took away my right to celebrate my anniversary. Oh, doom. No, you adapt. You adapt. You make the best of it. Yeah, it sucks. But you make the best of it. Because we're grown-ups, we're adults. When I leave the home, and I happen to have forgotten my cell phone or my wallet, and I needed it, and I need to double back to go and get it, which is going to make me late and make me look bad, or I decide, you know what, I can't afford to be late and I leave it there and I'm going to be going someplace ill-equipped and look a little foolish. Well, you know what? Being ill-equipped and looking a little foolish is the price I pay for not having planned my departure and making sure that I had taken the time to put the cell phone in my satchel before I left. And yes, I will be a little embarrassed, but that's my own damn fault. I can go on Twitter and yes, complain, oh my God, I can't believe what a day I'm having. But to go on Twitter and says, oh my God, I showed up at this meeting and I was totally unprepared because I forgot my damn cell phone. Damn you, Trudeau. Damn you, Canada. Why didn't you prevent me from being stupid? Come on. All right, kids. I think that's probably enough for today. I think I've ranted a lot, and I'm not used to doing a show mostly solo, actually. It's kind of weird. I actually don't know how Mr. Grizzly does it on the days that I have a technical issue, because it's yeah, it's just weird. The back and forth, it really does contribute to keeping the show a little bit more dynamic. But fortunately, I have you lovely kits who are chatting with me and contributing stuff in the chat that we can read. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It really makes it much easier. So Kit Cassie, yeah, last day of harvest, I saw that. You go. Thank you so much for what you're doing to help put food on our tables. Really appreciate it. And yeah, you know what? While all this stuff is going on with these yahoos representing themselves as farmers and truckers and all that kind of stuff, protesting against trans kids having the right to privacy and be treated like human beings, thank an actual farmer and trucker, right? They grow the food that comes on our table. They make sure that the food gets here. Thank you for what you do. Really appreciate it. So Cassie, hope it's a good start harvest this year for you, because I know that farmers work very hard. And remember, tonight, it's also the 21st, as Cassie would say if she was here right now. Make sure that you check in to watch the debate for the election in Manitoba, the leaders' debate tonight. All right. I'm going to start the extra and hope that Mr. Grizzly comes in at the right time to save me so that I can make a fabulous and graceful exit. Kits, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Podcast, the morning show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making it for you. I see that our friend, our old pal Jake, has dropped in. We are working on something for you this weekend, by the way, Kits, with our old pal Jake. I don't know if it'll be live or recorded or shown later, but we are working on something. Jake, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you yesterday as promised. Mr. Grizzly and I did not have time to talk about the subject yet, but we promise we will get back to you on that. But we're planning something that'll be a lot of fun, I think. So stay tuned. Just showing a little late right now. Remember, sharing is caring, and you have the mouths from who we want the word to come. So please tell all your peeps and poops about us. We really appreciate everything that you do for us. So thank you very much. Because democracy is something that you do, watch that debate tonight, particularly if you're in Manitoba. Make sure that you've done everything that you need to do so that you can vote. Remember that anticipatory voting starts on the 23rd, I happen. So that would be a very, 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 very good thing to do. As well, donate to the Red Cross if you can, not only for our brothers and sisters in Canada who are been hit with wildfires and tornadoes and floods, but also if you happen to be one of the 100,000 Canadians of Moroccan descent living in the province of Quebec. The government of Canada is matching 3-to-1 any funds that you would be donating to help those who have been affected by the earthquake in Morocco. So please, if you have the opportunity, and if my old friend Tariq Belarbi happens to be listening to this by any strange happenstance. Bonjour, mon ami. He used to be my debating partner when I was in high school. And one of the reasons I did get to go to the provincials and nationals so often was because I had a great partner. So, and he is from Morocco. So, my friend, I know that you and your family probably have a lot of loved ones who are affected by this, and I'm thinking of you. If you would like to subscribe to us, and the squigglies are not going to appear today, sorry, but please go to our Podpage site, sponsored by the Ray Girl. That's podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, we will come directly to you. We promise. And since you are subscribing, well, why not make like Kit Elaine, who says, "Have a beyond awesome day, everyone, and remember to smash that button before you leave." Yes, smash the button. And because we're feeling generous today, we have not one, not two, but three. Yes, 3 full buttons for you to smash with. We have like, subscribe, and share. Our 3 favorite words, other than free beer today. And if you'd like to make sure that we have some free beer today, well, you can help us out there too by going to our coffee page. I don't know why they call it coffee. They should call it beery. Anyway, coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you can go to make your contribution to our emergency Beaver Lodge hydration fund. Oh yeah, that's where our friends Guinness and coffee and hot chocolate and Caesar wait for us. And it's like we're running a marathon, and like they just put one in our hands, and we chug it down, and then we just keep going. We just keep going because we work tirelessly to bring this to you. They're good lads and good lasses. They help us get this show done. So please, if you can, again, that's coffee, ko-fi ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, and that's where you can help us out. And you kits have been very, very generous and kind to us over the past few days. And I kept on promising you that I would be able to read the donations that have come in. And they have finally, I've been able to get the screen to work to do that. So please, I'm just going to do everyone for the month now. Kit Rebecca, who has been generous to us not once but twice, said thank you for the great Mark Garrettson interview, particularly about the cost of living and misinformation segments. You've earned your wage this week, with a wink. Thank you so much. And apparently it seems that we earned our wage a few times because just yesterday, Kit Rebecca also sent us something and said, your straight up facts-based driven shows, your straight up facts-based driven show now, sorry, there was a typo. Your straight up facts-based driven show is now my new secret weapon when I'm attending an intro to international politics class. This donation doesn't do all your service justice. Keep up the great work. Ah, thank you so much. Stay in school, kids.
Yeah.
Then Kit Cheryl sent us a tip. No message, just a good on you tip. So thank you very much, Kit Cheryl. Kit Kath Needs a Snickers says, I watch every episode from the bushes or on replay if I'm working. I look forward every day to your podcasts because you report unbiasedly and explain things in simple terms for people like me. Laugh out loud. Thank you for all you do. Much love and cheers. Well, thank you so much, Kit Kath Needs the Snickers. We love that you tune in. And then yesterday we got a special tip. Now, it seems that it was from Mateo.
Oh.
Yes. Mateo says, I love you guys. Aww. Mateo, we love you too. You bring us so much joy. You really do. And thank you also to Miss Sadeka and Kit Mohan for making sure that Mateo was able to deliver a generous tip to us. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Love the family. Thank you. All right. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. Mr. Grizzly, perfect timing. Do you have some words of wisdom?
Yeah, technology is great when it works, and when it doesn't work, it can be a real headache. And I've had a number of headaches today.
But nevertheless, you persisted.
Well, I was about to say, just because it isn't working out for you at the time doesn't mean it won't work out. So stick with it. Plow through.
Plow through. I guess I'm not sure if you were here for it, but I was talking about Cassie was harvesting. I
pay attention.
Yeah, much more clever than the average bear. All right, Mr. Grizzly.
I'm smarter than the average bear.
Hello, boo boo. Why don't you roll the credits, huh?
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
All right, and before we go, a big shout out to our tennis players who seem to be doing super well since Gabby Dabrowski won the doubles title at the U.S. Open. There was the Davis Cup thing. Leila Annie Fernandez is in the quarterfinals of a tournament, has just been plowing through everyone that's in our way. And there's another tournament somewhere where there were 4 Canadians in the first round, and all of them won their matches. I don't know what it is, but there's a fire under the team, so let's keep it going.
Awesome.
And there was something else. Darn, I forgot what it was. And oh well, you know what? I'll put it on the show tomorrow. But there you go, kids. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Well,
podcast.
Well, I was about to do this. No, that's not it. Hang on. Where is it? That's the wrong one.
Not it.
Here it is. Welcome to the place where everyone knows your name, where everyone's your friend, where good times are had by all. Sit back, relax, pour yourself a beverage and enjoy our company. I know we'll certainly enjoy yours. Welcome to the True North Eager Beaver Pubcast. Once a month, we gather at the Lieutenant's Pump at 361 Elgin Street in downtown Ottawa, Canada's capital city, bringing you joy and happiness all day long.
The Canadian women are trying to qualify for a spot in the Olympics in volleyball and had a huge victory against China yesterday, which does keep them in the race. And the men's team is at the Pan American Cup Final 6, and they are 2-0 so far. So keep going, people. Keep going.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow morning. I got to jump. I got to bounce. I got to go. I got to take care of some business. You know how it is. I'll see you later.
Jump, jump, the Mac Daddy make it. Jump, jump.